Welcome back, guys, for another episode of FAMcast. We are here with Tim
That's me.
and myself for episode 39. This is kind of an unscheduled podcast for us. But me and Tim were kind of hyped up enough about this that we just had to talk about it. So lately, the past couple days, we're middle of May here. There's been lots of Pokemon Switch rumors flying around. Lots of crazy Pokemon Switch rumors.
Yeah.
Some of them I'm really excited for. Some of them Tim is really not excited for.
Yeah.
So we're just here to kind of break it down, maybe see what sounds plausible, what is definitely, take it with a grain of salt, and what we would hope to see besides that. I feel like that's what a third of our podcast are, is just us talking about what we want to see from a Pokemon game on Switch.
It's pretty much it.
Like
It always comes back to
we-
Pokemon somehow.
We always mention it somehow in every podcast. But how do you want to handle this, Tim? Do you want me to just kind of go down the rumor list? Because there's kind of like a bullet point style list going on.
That would work fine.
Okay, cool. So let me, if we take a look, so just kind of starting from the beginning here. A couple days ago, an anonymous user on 4chan, surprise, surprise, uploaded the names and logos of what they're saying to be the next Pokemon games, meaning the core games on the Switch. Those names being Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu Edition and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee Edition. Which those alone are very interesting names because they've never... for one, the Let's Go part kind of throws me off a little bit. It makes me feel like it's not a core game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why don't you just have Pokemon blank? Like, you could have just had Pikachu Edition or Eevee Edition.
Right.
But you threw the Let's Go in there. But I'll get more on that later. I know Tim has some thoughts on that portion as well. But they put a pretty legitimate looking logos, which I don't know. Like, oh my gosh, my cats are fighting right now. Well, there's a real life Pokemon battle going on behind me. Yeah, with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee Edition, just from the sound of it, even before we get further on, it already gives the sense of, okay, you're going to have one that focuses on Pikachu, one that focuses on Eevee. Those are probably the starters in those games. So with that leak of the logo, there's also a few other bullet points here that they're calling real leaks. So that, I mean, we just have to take it as fact now. So that's just what it is. They said it's real.
Right.
We don't really have anything else to go off of. So
It's real, guys.
these,
Guaranteed.
yeah, this is the truth. Absolutely.
This is
Straight from
Nintendo.
4chan.
Yep.
Straight from 4chan. So the first one I find most interesting, they're saying they're Pokemon Yellow remakes for the Switch, which every kid growing up in our generation, Pokemon Yellow was like the game. Like Red and Blue blew everything up, but being able to play as Ash as the main character, having your Pikachu follow you around, you get all the starters. That was an experience, man. Like that skyrocketed the Pokemon franchise, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. No, I agree 100%. Like, well, it was so you had your Pokemon following you, right? Even though he's stubborn and wouldn't take a freaking stone or evolve, you couldn't make him evolve, just like Ash's Pikachu.
Wow.
What?
So are you the guy that was like, you just like force it on your Pikachu, like you're gonna evolve?
Well, no, but like, I mean, if I feel like if somebody wants their Pikachu to evolve, they should be allowed to evolve, right? Like I don't know, like I don't know. Now
Shouldn't
I
the
sound
Pikachu have a
now
say
I
in
sound
this,
like
Tim?
a Pikachu hater, like a Pokemon abuser. Evolve, you little rats! You must become more powerful. Like I don't know, like it was just a weird thing. Like it was cool, and back then as a kid, I didn't care. I thought it was awesome. Like, oh, it's Ash's Pikachu. I'm going to keep it as Pikachu forever because it's Ash's Pikachu, right? So back then, I didn't care. I thought it was a lot of fun. Now, it's just like, oh, but I got to get my IVs and my EVs, and he's lower, and this sucks. I don't want to use him because he doesn't work very well, and yada, 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 yada. But they kind of hit on the name a bit, the Let's Go part, just because I don't... That actually scares me. This is the first time, actually, you saying that was the first time I ever heard of that. And that scares me a little bit. Like, I'm excited. They say it's still a core Pokemon game, right? I mean, supposedly it's by Game Freak and everything, right? Like, this is one of their games, and I'm looking at that logo. Doesn't that logo just look like Detective Pikachu? Like, is it just me, or like?
So Are you looking at the picture or like the actual words, like the Japanese?
Oh,
words?
I'm only looking at the picture, I guess. Oh, I see what you're. I was like, because that's definitely Detective Pikachu. I don't believe
Yeah,
that
I
to be
because I
real.
see what you mean, and I'm not sure if that's related or not, or if they just like put it there because it's a Pikachu and an Eevee.
Right.
Um,
Um,
but yeah, the name itself is definitely a little concerning.
because they've always done a color of some sort, right? You've always had like that, and
Uh,
then they went X and Y.
yeah, yeah,
So they already had a theme. There was a theme like that, and like Let's Go just seems just weird. If they would have just done like you said, like Pokemon Pikachu, Pokemon Eevee,
hmm
I'd been more okay with that. Because ideally the thought is that it's a Pokemon Yellow remake, right? That's kind of what we figured out. But they
correct.
said it's a reboot of the franchise a long time ago, right?
N- there was a rumor about that, but it was
Oh, that
never
was
like
just a rumor,
confirmed.
wasn't it?
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, they never straight out said like, "Hey, this is going to be this is going to be a reboot." Because I don't. At that point, you can't really do a reboot. You've already got like 700 Pokemon. You can't just like erase them from existence and just start over and try and have a new mascot for the face of your brand. You know?
Right. I mean, I'm okay with it. Let's start with that. I'm okay with it because we never got a yellow remake to begin with, right? There was never a yellow remake. We got a red remake, leaf
Correct. Yeah.
green, blue. We had Soul Silver. We had Ruby Sun remake. So we've had remakes of a lot. I'm 100% okay if it turns out to just be a yellow remake for that. That part I'm actually stoked about. I would be 100% thrilled to go through there and just do all that and catch my Scyther and call it a day.
I mean, it would be great because, like, for one, like you mentioned, we never got a yellow remake. Granted, we got the fire red and leaf green, so
Right.
that's close, but it's still not the
It's not
yellow
yellow.
experience. Because really, we haven't had a game experience like Pokemon Yellow since then.
Right.
Because they've all just been the standard, like two versions. You get your choices of three starters, and that's been it.
Correct.
But that's the only one that you have your one starter. You go around and get the other starters if that's what you want to do. I think they were optional. I don't really remember.
Well, they were optional. Like you definitely didn't have to catch them. But I mean, who
Right.
didn't?
Yeah, exactly. Um, it's I think it's a good move in some degree, just because all these new people over the past 2 years have been playing Pokemon Go and getting back into Pokemon, like a lot of like
Right.
non-core gamers.
Right.
So having them introduced to something like Pokemon Yellow, that could definitely entice someone to like, oh, I'll just pick up a Switch then. Like this will be great.
Right.
I can definitely see the marketing behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense from that end, but everyone else that has been playing Pokemon up until now, I think there are going to be some people that aren't going to be happy. And I
Um.
think
Yeah. I, Go ahead.
no, you're fine. Go ahead.
Well, I just like so I agree because like I would definitely have loved just a whole new Pokemon game in general. Like just a whole new Pokemon game, right? Like oh, a whole new area, whole
Right.
new this, whole new that. That would have been a great way to introduce a game on the Switch, and that's how I think they should have done it. Personally, I think they should have done it that way, just for the simple fact that every new quote unquote DS systems come out, the first Pokemon game, if I recall, has always been a new Pokemon game, right?
Yeah.
Because you had Game Boy for Yellow. Well, yeah, I'm not gonna go down the list, but yeah, they've always been new, right? And then after a bit, they re-released games, right? So
Correct. Yeah.
now, granted, there's like 700 plus. Is there 800 yet? How many are there? There's a lot of Pokemon.
I don't think there are 800. Let me do a quick little a search on my smart device.
So
we'll
until
just
he finds
ask,
the
how-
exact number. I assume 700 plus Pokemon.
What's your exact guess?
752.
There are 802.
I was off by 50 exactly. So 802 Pokemon. So it's 802 Pokemon, and like it would be a lot for them to, I guess, go back and introduce more Pokemon at this point, right? I mean, and that's not to say
Oh,
they
yeah.
still won't. Like they very well still can, because this could just be something that takes place in, of course, what it's Kanto, right? That's the original area, right?
If correct, yeah, Kanto's the original. So if they follow this, Kanto would be the path that you take.
Because it does give a lot of people, like I said, I wouldn't mind playing back through it. It'd be great it would be fantastic to see Kanto in this world that they can create with the Switch,
yeah,
right? That's
100%,
part,
man.
That's the exciting part behind it, is to now see this world in a fully three-dimensional world that I can play on my TV. I keep forgetting that I can play this on my TV.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
I keep forgetting that too. That's a good point.
Like, I keep thinking, oh, I'm gonna sit there and play it on my Switch. I'm just like, wait a minute, dink, and it's
Right.
on my TV. Like,
that is pretty sweet.
I can't wait to see Kanto like that. And I think that's going to bring a lot of excitement. I think it's also a good way to introduce all these people who have... Because let's face it, I have a lot of friends who play Pokemon Go that don't know anything about Pokemon. They
Sure.
know it existed, but they didn't get into it until they started playing Pokemon Go. And I have these friends that they play Pokemon Go like crazy. They're a super higher level than me because I just don't play it like I used to. And they still don't understand the core aspect of what Pokemon was. Not nearly, right?
Right.
So I think it'll be fun for them if they have a Switch to get into one of the original Pokemon games, because then they can kind of start where we all started, ish.
Correct. No, I agree with that. It's a good jumping on point, because the people that are getting back into Pokemon Go, or 2 years ago when they got into it, those are the people that were familiar with the original 151 to begin with.
Right.
So this would be a good starting point. They don't feel too overwhelmed, and I know this is going to be wishful thinking, but one of my favorite things about Gold and Silver is that you started in Johto, went back to Kanto.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what if you start in Kanto? And I know this is going to be asking way too much, but what if you went through even just one other region? Like, I know asking to go through all of them is way too much.
Right.
I get that.
Right.
But even if you just went back to Johto or something, just as a...
The
Go
hopes,
ahead.
the hopes for that, Trevor. The hopes for that, because I agree with you. I want that. Yes. The hopes for that is the fact that since this is a full-blown Switch Pokemon game, DLC is very possible. They could
That's
actually
true,
do
and
that for this. They could keep adding the regions in as you go through, right? And just
They
more
could.
and more things. I agree. That was and what other games did that? Did really any other games
None.
do that? Like, that's the most
None.
disappointing thing about the whole Pokemon franchise. How do you take the coolest aspect of one of the coolest Pokemon games and you're just like, dink, and like every time I finish a new Pokemon game, I'm like, oh man, am I going to get to go? Am I going to go somewhere else?
Nope.
No.
Like, they always have post-game, right? There's always
Yeah.
post-game stuff to do. But there was nothing compared to, like, going from Johto back to this world that you remembered.
Right.
You're, like, fighting the gym bosses out of order. You're, like, fighting Brock and Misty again. You're like, this is crazy. Like, this is... Because your Pokemon are still leveling the entire time.
Yes.
Like, you get upwards to, like, up to where you fight Red,
Right.
which is still the best fight in the
It's
entire series.
So amazing.
I mean, you're upwards of, like, level 80, level
Right.
90 at that point. You felt awesome.
And there's a wall, man. Once you hit your Pokemon get to like level 60, it is a grind and a wall to keep going through that. And like,
Right.
and then when you get to fight Red the first time, you realize his Pokemon's like 75 and 80. You're like, my gosh. So then you have a reason to do that grind. You have a reason to go through that wall. And I feel like that's the one thing a lot of the newer Pokemon games are missing is, other than competitive player to say, hey, I got a 100 Charizard or whatever, there's very little reason to get past that wall. Heck, I mean, to be honest with you, most competitive Pokemon players, you only need to get your Pokemon to level 50. Like, that's realistically where it's at. Like, you get your Pokemon to level 50 because everything gets dropped to level 50 when you do competitive play anyway.
Correct.
So you try to do all this stuff to level 50. I want that reason to keep pushing. I want a Pokemon MMO. I'm just throwing that in there. I know this isn't it, but I want that reason to keep pushing beyond I beat this thing. And beyond just wanting to get the new legendaries. That's the only thing that bothers me. Is most post games, oh, go here to find this legendary. Oh, go do this to find this legendary. Do this, which is great. But I have a team, and I want a reason to keep using this team.
Right. No, I get that for sure. And I still remember sitting at home with my parents, even with like Ruby and Sapphire, going through the post game and like getting to these legendaries, and it was tough.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just like you put them to sleep, get them down, and throw an Ultra Ball. Like, they were really hard to catch. Like, I would sit there, I've got like 80 Ultra Balls in my inventory, and I'm just like chucking them away, man. I've got like a Gengar or something to put him to sleep, and you get those moves that get him down to 1 HP. It was difficult, and it's fun, but like you said, I need more content.
Yes.
Because there's definitely a nice challenge to catching the legendaries, but I want more like battle content.
Yep. I agree. I want a reason to keep using my team. Because I mean, me and you, my gosh, X and Y came out. How much time did we sit there and and just thinking of the perfect team formula, doing this,
Oh
doing
yeah.
that, but that's so much fun to us. It's just like that.
I'll say this because that itself is a lot of fun building the team. One thing I don't like that I think that we've really gotten away from is just building a team because it's fun instead of building a team because like, oh, this Pokemon has this nature and I've bred it to where it has perfect IVs. Like it almost ruins it for me in a way.
It does. No, I agree 100% with that. And the worst part about it is, what was the game? The recent one, not Ultra Moon, Moon and Sun. So Moon and Sun.
Yeah.
I basically told myself I wasn't going to do that throughout that whole game, and I didn't, and I was super happy I didn't until post game. But
Yeah.
like the problem with that becomes when you start to the first time you start to do that and you understand how it works and you know in your head how it works. The issue is you catch that, like Scyther's my favorite Pokemon. I go and I catch a Scyther, super stoked. Then you look at it, you're like, oh, it's gonna be such a good Pokemon. I can't wait. Then you look at it, you're like, oh, okay, well it has this nature, whatever. It's okay. Oh, it does. Oh, okay, that's fine, I suppose. I'll get past it. And then the whole time you're battling with it, it could be better. This Scyther could be
Yep.
better. And then it's just in your head that Pokemon, your favorite Pokemon, could be a better version of that Pokemon if you just put time into it. But it's not just a little bit of time. Oh no, that's how they get you. It's a lot of time. It's
It's a lot of time. It's a time sink, man.
It is.
It's unfortunate because I don't enjoy that. I
No,
don't
it's
enjoy
annoying.
like breeding all these Pokemon eggs, hatching them all. Okay, which one has the best IVs? Okay, this one's perfect. Then I'm gonna raise it, and it has to fight only specific Pokemon,
Yep.
so it levels with the it. It's tedious, man.
It is tedious. It's annoying. It's obnoxious. I miss the days of just seeing a Scyther, catching it, not caring other than the. I will be one of the first people to admit if I want a Pokemon and I think it's supposed to look like a male, I want it to look like I want it to be a male. If it's a Pokemon and I think it looks like a female, I want it to be a female. That's the only thing I'm really weird about. I know it sounds bad, but I promise you I don't mean it in a bad way. But like Scyther, I love Scyther. Scyther's like my best friend. I want a male Scyther on my team.
So, so I think they've made that a little different just because some of the Pokemon do have gender differences.
They do.
But yeah, other than that, there's not really a benefit.
Right.
The ones that don't.
They're right. I don't know. There's something like when I see like some big badass freaking rock guy like Bill Boulder.
You don't want a female Machamp?
Right. I don't want a female Machamp. I don't want a female Machamp. Sorry. I don't. That's just me though. I'm weird. I get it. I don't mean it to be in a sexist Pokemon way, right? That's not where I'm going with this. It's just that's a preference, right? That's a preference. Do you not have? Are you gonna say you're not that way at all during the game? Like you don't care. You catch it, male or female, don't care.
I'm trying to think because it's been so. I think Sun and Moon were the last ones I played, and I can't remember specifically. But I'll go back and look at my team, and I'll let you know. Like it doesn't. I don't know. I don't believe so.
Okay.
But since we've been on that for, I want to hit on the next rumor. So the next rumor, since we know that it's a Pokemon Yellow remake, the next rumor is Red and Blue play a role in the story. You and your rival are new trainers.
Okay, which is good.
So yeah, going back to you and your rival, so brand new, unrelated to Red and Blue. So maybe Blue is still running the Viridian Gym, or maybe Red is champion in the Indigo League. Maybe it's as simple as that, or maybe they play a different part. Maybe they're past that point, and they're actually helping you along the way, or something like that. Maybe they're the new Professor Oaks of the game.
That'd be kind of neat, actually, because it could totally be. Because I would assume, in order for them to establish more Pokemon in this game, up to 802, it has to take place after the actual events of Yellow, right? Because and the only reason I'm saying that is in order for that to happen, because you spend so many different games of oh my gosh, it's a whole new Pokemon. Oh my gosh, it's a whole new Pokemon. Oh my gosh, it's a whole new Pokemon. To the point to where if they did this and all of a sudden just like, oh hey, by the way, there's 700 or 800 some Pokemon out there. Try to find them. I feel like that's like I think they should be known. I think it should be known that there are multiple regions, each region having a lot of different Pokemon and Pokemon migrating and yada, 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 yada. Because then that gives reason for red and blue to be, you know, older, more experienced, yada, 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 yada.
Okay. I'll give you that.
That's just opinion, but I would like to think that it would be more futuristic. Like, not like futuristic, like, you know, or flying cars,
But
just like Pokemon are known now.
Sure. So we might even see some of the old gym leaders might not be there anymore.
Right.
Maybe it's a little bit different in that sense, but the remake of the rumor is just the region itself.
Right. Okay. Right.
So it could be, you know, maybe Bill's not even around.
Right.
So yeah, there could be a lot happening. Is Team Rocket still around?
I hope
you
so.
know, like there's Team Rocket was
I'm
pretty
so
awesome.
tired of them making up everything like else. Like, just give me Team Rocket back, please. Like,
Yeah, Team. It was even cool in Gold and Silver where like Team Rocket made a comeback there.
yeah.
Like they were part of the whole Lake Rage thing with the Red Gyarados, but then they got into like Team Magma and Team Aqua, which wasn't bad.
No.
I feel like that it wasn't bad at that point because it made sense
I don't
with the
even
two
remember
different
the other
legendaries. Yeah, like up after that, I don't remember like you had Team Galaxy and
Right.
Team
Skulls. Or is that what they're called? The Skulls?
Skulls was
That was
that
Sun and
was
Moon.
Sun and Moon, yeah.
But
Which a lot of people like them, which I get it. They're funny.
They are funny. Like, they were a refreshing take on like the bad guys.
For sure.
Because they weren't really necessarily like bad guys. Like, they were just goofy. Like, they didn't have like let's kill the world of Pokemon.
They're like thugs.
They're
Like they're just like
thugs.
street, like a street gang kind of thing.
What if, as far as the rival aspect goes, and I know this is just high hopes, but what if you could what if I could like put in your friend code, and like you would become my
You
rival?
were my rival.
Yeah. That'd be kinda
Yeah, I
neat.
don't know how I don't know what the logistics of that would be.
You're gonna go ahead. Go ahead.
No. Like it would have to be something that you would put in like when you're making your save file.
Of course.
You know what I mean? But then it's like, how does it generate like what level Pokemon? Like, because you have your specific rival fights throughout the game, like
Right.
maybe 5 or so. So how does it determine, okay, so where was Tim at after the second gym? Which Pokemon did he have? What level were they?
I would
And
totally
then
screw
if-
you, by the way. I would level my Pokemon. Like
That's
level
what I'm
50.
saying. Like,
You'd
you could
never get
definitely, like,
able to
set
get
it-
past him ever.
That's what I'm saying. Like you could set someone up for like failure there, and
But
it would be fun.
They could do
so
like
they could.
a staple as to where it's like, you know, okay, by the second gym, you fight your rival, and your rival's Pokemon, no matter what Pokemon they had on them, when they fought that gym, yada yada, they're only level 20. Like, they just level
Sure.
them down.
I mean, they could, and then like say you have a team of 6,
Right.
but they narrow it down to like they randomly pick 4,
Right. Like,
or maybe the other person gets to pick 4 after they beat the second gym.
oh yeah.
But what happens if you beat the second gym, try and fight your rival, and
That's a good question.
I'm not there yet?
Ooh, that is a good question.
So,
like, okay,
there's a
so
lot of
it's very implausible, more or less.
correct. Yeah, it's not very likely. It's a cool idea. Don't get me wrong. I think that'd be awesome.
Maybe.
Or even if there was a way that you could set someone as your rival, but it didn't. Maybe it wasn't your rival in like the story.
Me like two like
But
a
it-
CPU rival for the story, like an actual, and then like you can actually
Mm-hmm.
set like I can have like you and Trey as my rival in like the
Right.
That would be interesting.
The next rumor on the list is following Pokemon Return, which is a very weird way to phrase that. Because it sounds like the following Pokemon Return. It's like you're waiting for a list, but there's nothing there. So they mean that the Pokemon that follow behind you
Yes.
are returning, like from Heart Gold and Soul Silver and all the way back to Pokemon Yellow.
Possibly, it could just be Eevee and Pikachu. Just saying.
Correct. Yeah, it could be, because granted, we have to think this is on the Switch. This is going to be a 3D. It's well, granted, I guess the like Sun and Moon were all 3D as well.
Well, and the battle scenes have to be 3D, so it's not like the 3D renders of the Pokemon aren't there.
Correct. Yeah. And I would be a little disappointed if they just like brought them over. Like I would, if it's going to be on the Switch, I want it to be upscaled a little bit.
Oh,
you know,
of course.
I don't expect it to look, since we're getting a whole world in here, I don't expect it to look like Pokken Tournament. Because honestly, the Pokemon in Pokken Tournament look really good.
They do.
Like you've got like the fur details and everything. I don't expect all that in a full open world game. I understand that the Switch is great, but it's not great enough
Right.
to hold all that.
Okay, we say that,
Um,
but Breath of the Wild is huge, gorgeous, runs
yeah,
smooth as butter. Like I just want a Pokemon Breath of the Wild, just like combination. Like it's as
right,
big as Breath of the Wild, but in a Pokemon universe would be
sure,
phenomenal. Because Breath of the Wild's kind of cartoony, right? I mean, it is.
it is, yeah,
But it's cartoony in its own
sure,
way. And I feel like Pokemon could take that route and make a huge world. Like they really. I mean, there's a lot in Breath of the Wild. There's a lot of little details. Like there's a lot
they
in
do.
that game.
They did pack a lot in there. So who's to say what they could do with this? I do remember that they, I think it was from Sun and Moon that they added like passive walking animations for all the Pokemon
Really?
that never got used. So every Pokemon has like a walking animation.
Really?
So it could be something that they maybe were thinking about implementing and never did, or
Right.
maybe they were pre-planning for this. Who knows? Maybe it's just there because it is.
And Nintendo Game Freak knows how important this game is.
Yeah.
Like they really have to know how important this game is. So there's no way they're going to do something terrible, right?
They have to know that this game is. People have wanted a console version of a traditional Pokemon game since Red and Blue.
And not freaking DX, which don't get me wrong, I enjoy DX.
It was a step
But-
in the right direction, like same with Coliseum, but
Right.
it just wasn't. It
No.
wasn't all the way there.
It wasn't. It wasn't all the way there. So like, and they already announced the handhelds are done. The handheld Pokemon games are no more.
Where
Go
okay?
look that
Where's
up.
the confirmation
Look,
on that?
look, hang on.
Bring me the confirmation on
I
that.
will.
That is not just a rumor.
I remember hearing that not too long ago, but I'll find that to you. Okay, I'll find that to you. Let's see what else are we doing?
You'll find that to
I'll
me.
find that to you.
So just one last thing on the following Pokemon, because if this is going to be a full 3D game, it was easy in Gold and Silver because they just had the little sprites.
Okay.
So whether you've got a Pikachu or an Onix, they had a little bit of a size difference there, but for the most part, still just a little sprite following you. With this, they're going to have to go real size, like 1-to-1 ratio, right?
Right. Okay,
Like if you
yeah.
have if you have your Steelix following you, this thing is going to tower over you. Like you're going to have to be able to do that. You're not going to just shrink down your Steelix.
Right, like something. I mean, I guess there are some Pokemon that are just super huge, right? That you can't just be like, okay, now I can't even see the game.
Like what's going to happen when you put your Wailord out behind you, like, and you just like demolish a city?
Is it just
Like,
gonna be like floating or something, just like
like-
across the grass?
it's like knocking buildings over. The Poke Center's just demolished.
Right. So okay, maybe I was a little wrong. Maybe it says Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun will be the last Pokemon RPG for the 3DS.
Really?
Yes.
And where's that from?
That is
just
an
so I
IGN
can.
link. I linked
Okay.
it in our chat.
I mean, and it's a where did they get that information from?
Game director, I can't say his name. Shiguri Ohamari explained
Okay.
that the company has seen each of its 3DS games as its full extent of what could be achieved on the handheld console. So basically, he's saying that
Okay.
they achieved everything that they could on that handheld console.
Right. So basically, like this is as good as Pokemon games are going to get on the handheld,
Yeah.
more or less.
Right.
Like they've done everything they can on the handheld.
Which-
From
Can I state that from someone who played a lot of the new ones, I hope they don't do the same thing. Like it was a neat difference. I way rather have gym battles though. Like way rather.
sorry,
Like,
I didn't know where you were
the
taking
totem
that.
battles were. I would like totem battles to be in the game still as like an additional thing. Like I think those challenges were great. They were fun, but I want them to be. I still want gyms.
I agree with you there. I mean, the totem battles were definitely fun, but like some of the people like you would just like they would just hand you the badge, and I'm like,
Yes.
what? But I didn't do anything really. So it was a little disappointing. But I like your idea though. Like having both could still be really fun.
Right.
There's just gym battles are too much of a staple in Pokemon games
Right.
to really do away with.
I want to be able to take my Switch around and be able to flip a case open and be like, look, those are all my gym badges.
Right, right.
Oh my god.
What else do we have? HMs are still replaced with Poke Ride from Aloha, which Alola, sorry, not Aloha. I always get that mixed up. So basically, from Pokemon Sun and Moon, you were able to, instead of actually teaching your Pokemon an HM, you just had like a Pokemon that knew it. Like I think it was like the Machamp that knew Strength,
Right.
and all you would have to do was like summon it,
Right.
and it just came and you pushed it, and that was it.
Yeah, if you ever need my Machamp, just call him up. The kind of thing. Like,
Which I really like. It sucked having to sacrifice.
it did.
Sometimes I'll like a full like I remember sometimes I would just have like a Pokemon on my team, usually a water type, and they just knew everything like Surf, Waterfall, when a Whirlpool was a thing,
That was the best.
Cut, Strength. Like you were almost wasting a Pokemon.
You were.
Or it was just a lot of back and forth. Like
But you
okay,
had
let
to
me
be
go to the
really
Poke Center.
strategic. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That was the thing. You had to be very strategic about your stuff. Because, like, I would generally have an HM move for each of my Pokemon. So I would have, like, my Charizard would learn, my Charmander would learn, or not Charmander, my Bulbasaur would learn Cut very early. And you just have Cut for, like,
Sure.
the whole game. Until.
'Cause back then you couldn't get rid of them.
Right. So he'd just have Cut. And then my Pidgey, who I always named Jet, would have Fly. Yeah, don't look at me like that. Okay, I had nicknamed my Pokemon. Okay, that was me.
I nicknamed him too. I just didn't.
Jet. Okay,
Jet?
that makes sense. Super fast. Okay, he's a Jet.
Okay, I'm not judging.
Um, like, so that was just the thing. I think it'd be interesting if they didn't do the like. I'm okay with them doing that. Of all the things to bring
Sure.
from the newer games, I'm okay with that just because it takes away an inconvenience, right? Without adding an inconvenience. But at the same time, it would be really fun to watch people struggle with that who've never played them. Like it would be really
Right,
entertaining for that.
Well, because they still have the roadblocks in there. Like
Right.
you're still
You
gonna
have
run
to.
into trees. Yeah, so it's nice that there's still the roadblock. They're just taking away the inconvenience of having to go to the Poke Center, take out your your Bellsprout that knows Cut, have it go cut down the bush, take it back to the Poke Center,
Right.
swap it out, go back. It's just taking out. It's a quality of life improvement.
Right.
That's all it is.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's. Hopefully, they're just taking everything that everyone loved from the past games and just
Right.
building on that. Because I feel like sometimes where they might miss the mark is when they do that, they come up with a really good idea, and then they just drop it and start everything fresh again.
Right.
Which I love having the fresh new takes on everything, but you need to build on the things that people love too.
Right. Don't fix what's not broken.
Correct. Next up, it says online has a hub for players, which I don't know. That isn't a huge surprise, I guess.
Well, they had that in a lot of Pokemon games. Like, granted, it probably won't be nearly. It'll probably be way more advanced than it has been in like the other Pokemon games, but it was still there. It was still relative.
So when they say that, it makes me think of Splatoon 2.
Okay.
When I think of an online hub to where you'd actually see like other players in
Right.
there. That's how I picture it. So maybe you're not actually like moving around together, but maybe you at least see like other people in the party,
Well,
and not in the party in the room.
So my thought of what it's going to be is you connect to this online game hub, right? And you can walk around with people. Like I would assume that's going to be in there. I think that,
Okay.
I think that would make the cut. But you can't like,
Sure.
like it's an online game hub, right? So for example, like
Online only, yep.
right? Monster Hunter has an online game hub. I can't if we are in the same game together, I can't see you unless we go to that online game hub.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
So like, maybe they'll have a system like that to where that's how me and you can go and do things, and maybe they'll have special things me and you can do together in that online game hub. Other than just hey, you want to battle me, you want to trade Pokemon, yada yada yada. Maybe they'll have some special events that you can do specifically in that online game hub there. That way I can be like, oh man, Trevor, I like that hat you have, without me having to go to your house
Sure.
to see
Yeah.
your hat, like.
I get it.
Or,
It makes
and
sense.
I can see the Pokemon behind you, like, oh man, look at your shiny Raichu, because I'm not creative, so I'm thinking of Raichu. I had to do one better than Pikachu, so that's a nice
Right.
creative Raichu you have there. Like shiny. I don't know. That's the way I figured it would be a big community game hub.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with that. I'm just, especially with the online capabilities of the Switch and us needing the headset set up the way that we do. I don't know how great it would be, but I think it's a great option. Even if there is no like voice chat or anything, I still think it would be a great.
Can I state that everyone here in FAM was all for this Nintendo thing that they were talking about, their whole online system that they were having, and I called it. Go back to one of our podcasts, and you'll see that I called it. It was going to be terrible, and I was right.
There's always room for improvement. Just because it is the way that it is now doesn't mean it won't change. I'll say that. But I do want to move on to our next one because I know me and you are both going to have a lot to say about this one.
What's that one?
And there are a few different points that are all related, so I'm going to go through them all.
Okay.
The first one, there's going to be Pokemon Go integration. Next, we have catching Pokemon works like it did in Pokemon Go. And rewards in-game, and when it says rewards in-game, meaning Pikachu and Eevee versions, and in Pokemon Go for linking the two together. So you get rewards in both games if you link your two accounts. There's a new accessory that can be used with both Pokemon Go and the game. Probably some sort of like step tracker,
right.
whatever it is. So, sorry, my cats are trying to break into the freaking closet again. They're really annoying. So this is a kind of a big deal. Yeah. Pokemon Go is really blown up. There's tons of people that play Pokemon Go still. And I think if this does happen to be the case, I think it can do a lot for selling this Pokemon game. Right. A lot of people that are playing Pokemon Go, they're going to be like, oh, my game, syncs up with the Switch game. Cool. Maybe I'll look into getting a Switch now.
Right.
As far as because I want to hit on this first before the catching Pokemon works in like it does in Pokemon Go. That portion right there, that could mean so many different things. So right off the bat, it makes me think of when you go to catch the Pokemon, like when you actually go after you're done battling and you go to throw the Pokeball. It makes me think I'm on my Switch. I'm going to have to spin the thing and fling it.
Right.
That's what it makes me think, but what if it means something else, Tim?
I swear to God.
Do me a favor. Do you still have that Kotaku page up?
Yeah.
Scroll down there. Earlier this year, for those that are just listening, there was a really blurry screenshot that showed up with an Eevee riding a Lapras, and it seemed to show off a route from the original Pokemon games. Do you see that screenshot?
Yep.
So if you take a look, not only is the Eevee riding the Lapras with the trainer, but you also have other Pokemon. Like you can see a Gyarados tail. I see a Tentacool. Yep, a Magikarp. So you see these Pokemon just kind of out there, right?
Okay.
What if that's what they mean by catching Pokemon works the way that it doesn't go? To where you actually see them on the map. So no more random encounters per se. Like it's not going to be like a flash on the screen and then it's mystery Pokemon. It could be that maybe the ratios are still the same. That Gyarados down there is probably still really rare to find, but you might just be swimming along and you happen to see a Gyarados. If that's the case, I'm 100% on board because that's what I've always wanted. And I think I've talked to you about this before, like walking through the grass, having a chance to see Pokemon and being able to walk up to them and engage them. So, with that being said, because it could go two very different ways here.
Right.
The first one obviously is terrible.
If they did that, I would be... The amount of upsetness that would... Because I could talk about that for a long time, about how dumb that would be to integrate what is potentially one of the worst features in Pokemon Go into a core game. Like...
At least, in my opinion, if you are going to have it to where you have to fling the Pokeball and actually hit the target, make that an option.
Please.
And honestly, I think they would have to just from an accessibility standpoint, just because not everyone has the ability to.
Right.
So I think that if they do have it, some people might like that, and that's cool.
I prefer RNG.
Let them use it.
To just let me throw a ball and be like, shake
let me throw it
and slam on my B button. Doesn't
matter.
matter.
Slam on the B button.
Slam on the B button.
No, I was always told you had to hold it down after the third shake.
I was told tap it. The faster you tap it, then the percentage goes up. 'Cause you were
Yeah.
told to hold
See,
it.
mine was you wait till the third shake and then you hold down
Oh,
on the B
man.
button.
We'll never
Yep.
know which one.
Those
is
childhood rumors,
right.
man.
I
Like,
know, right?
oh, those were great.
So,
So,
yeah.
based on the screenshot, do you feel a little better
I do.
about what?
Seeing that photo makes me feel a little bit better. Here's my only issue with that.
Okay.
I hope, like, I think me and you kind of have the same thing. I'd love to see the Pokemon out in the wild, right? I would love
Yep.
that. I would 100%, 100%, 100% love that. But they still need an RNG system. I still feel like that needs to be there. I still feel like if
Wait.
I'm walking, because, like, if one of the things that makes caves so abruptly annoying is Zubats, right?
For sure.
And it makes repels. It makes repels prevalent. Like, you need to have, like, they're important to have. They're an item that you really want to have. You go buy and you spend your money on it. And, like, I feel like it would be really hard for them to implement that walking through a cave. Like, son of a biscuit monkey. And, you know, it pops into a Zubat.
Well, imagine how cool it would be to walk into that cave and you do see. Obviously, it's not going to be a swarm of Zubats, right? Like, it's not going to be like 10 Zubats coming at you at once. But you see quite a few around, and you're like, oh crap! And you might try to dodge them, but some of them might they might be able to home in on you. You know.
But okay, but then you
Like
get,
some.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna get into the repels like you were mentioning.
Oh yeah.
So imagine you walk into the cave and you see all these Zubats. You use a repel. And all of a sudden, you just see like these Zubats. They like try and come in on you, but then you see them kind of like go away. So there's like this invisible thing around you to show that actual effect that the repel has.
Okay, that would be okay. That'd be neat. That'd be something really cool. Kind of like you have like a little circle around you that you try to get to, but they can't. So then, how would they go about doing really big Pokemon? Like, what's a good really big one? That's like it's like an Onix is a great example. Like, how are they going to go about doing, like, an Onix? You know, because you're going to have this giant Pokemon in, I would assume, a mountainy-esque area. Are you just have lots of those around? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, a few different things on... And I know you don't mean Onix specifically, you just mean in general.
Right.
But going back to the screenshot, you can see how big that Gyarados' tail is.
But do we only know... Okay, so him doing this, is that all that will be shown of the Gyarados? Because he could be underwater and all you see is the tail, right? Okay,
for sure.
Makes sense.
And it could be the same thing with the Onix too. Who knows?
Right.
Like maybe you just see like his fucking head's popping out of the cave. Like, ooh, what are you doing over there?
Right.
Like it could be that's all it is. Because they.
I feel like it would take a little bit of the searching nature of Pokemon out. Because half the searching nature of me is going into this grass of woods. This is a grassy area, and just constantly going and seeing if I can find this Pokemon. No? Okay, run away. Do it again. Because at that point, I feel like, okay, I'm just going to see. If I don't see it, okay, go back. I get, like, I don't know.
I think you can still have both.
Okay.
I think you can still walk into this cave. So say, for example, we're talking about Onix again. Say Onix has a 10 or even a 5% chance to show up, right? Just because he has that, we're using these actual sprites of Pokemon to show up in the cave and they're moving around doing their thing, that doesn't mean that Onix has any more of a 5% chance to show up still. So you can still be running around this cave, the rates can still be exactly what they were, and you can still have to, hit a bunch of Zubats or Geodudes or whatever it is before you actually run into an Onix, if that's what you're hunting for.
I hope you're right. Like, because, okay, so they can make it work. Right, I mean, just from what you're saying, they can. It's just a matter of them making it work. Is the possibility there? Yes, sure. But I hope they do make it work because a lot of Pokemon is RNG. Like that's just a lot of Pokemon. That's what makes you keep playing it. Is RNG. So I hope that they can make it work.
I hope so too, because that's something that I've always wanted, and I really do understand the point that you're making, like the mystery and the RNG behind it. But just being able to walk, or just swim along, go through a cave, walk through the grass, whatever it is, and say you're just like, oh man, it's just a bunch of Pidgey still, this sucks. But then all of a sudden, out of the corner of your eye, you see like a flash of yellow and it's a Pikachu.
Right.
And you actually have to like maybe chase after it a little bit.
Right.
So, because I don't want it to be where these Pokemon are just standing still, just like waiting for you to like run into them,
You gonna come get me?
Like that would be lame.
Right.
But if they're actually like moving around, you ever seen like Pidgeys flying around in the grass or whatever it is, I think that would make the world seem that much more alive.
Maybe you can use a berry and set it on the ground and walk away and try to lure and see if a Pokemon gets into it. That would be neat. Like that would be a really neat thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like those, yeah. No, I want 3D Pokemon like that. Like, in a futuristic world, I don't want my Pokemon. I don't want to be walking around in a giant 3D world not seeing a Pokemon anywhere, right? Like,
Right.
you don't want that. So I do want to see Pokemon in the world. I hope that they do, and I hope that they figure out a way to make it both work. Ow, I stabbed my hand. But I really hope that they do find out a way to make it both work, because I do want that in all reality. That is definitely something I want. When Nintendo starts to go under and they pull out the Pokemon MMO game, like, I want that game to have all those elements in it as well, you know. So
Yep.
like that needs to be there.
You
Hand
conducting
motions.
there?
Yep. But yeah.
So the last thing on that list is really just the because we already covered that. I feel like we both kind of came to terms with what it could be, so
Right.
we're not as upset, because that seems a lot more reasonable than flicking Pokeballs on my Switch.
Look, Pokemon Go integration can go really, really bad, really, really quick, because it could just make the game not fun. It can make it really stupid. It could be them just trying to... I feel like if they do it the wrong way, it'll feel like they're just trying to appeal to the Pokemon Go players and not to their hardcore fans that have been waiting for this game, right? So that's
Sure.
if it goes the wrong way. They start having microtransactions for Pokeballs and stuff like that, because you run out, you don't have in-game money to do it, so you do this, and that's how you link it up. You send them to... Like, this could really, really, really go wrong. But they could also take the good elements of Pokemon Go and make it really, really good.
Right. Now, if I'm talking perfect world here, how do you handle Pokemon Go integration? This is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
So you definitely want trading, like maybe not from your Switch game to your Pokemon Go game,
Okay.
because there's not really a whole lot
Right.
to do with that. Granted, I haven't played in a while, so I could be wrong. But it's probably more so people wanting their Pokemon Go Pokemon onto the Switch game, to where they can raise them, level them the normal way, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So you also don't want to make the game unbalanced.
Right.
You don't want people bringing in all these really powerful Pokemon right from the start.
Right.
So my thought process is, and I think this was back in... Oh man, I think it was honestly, I think it was Fire Red and Leaf Green, to where you could transfer your Pokemon over from older games,
Right.
and you could only do it post game. And you probably remember this. It was like a Safari Stone style thing.
Yes. Okay.
You could only like import like 6 at a time,
And they went
like
to
per
Safari.
day. Yeah, it was either like per session
what you're
or
talking about
like
now.
per day, and you'd actually have to go through the Safari Zone and catch them.
Yeah.
Granted, it was an instant catch, so
Right.
it's not like you can not catch your
Right.
Pokemon. But I think if you make it post game, then you've basically balanced the game out. There's not going to be anyone that has like the super powerful team and can just roll through the game.
Right. I agree.
I think that's the way to do it. If that's the integration that they're talking about.
I think that's the best, because like you said, like, the thing that would kill it for me is, like, let's face it, I don't play Pokemon Go a lot. I play a little bit. I'm like level 28 or something like that, but I'm not super high because I just got bored of it. Like, if I'm just being dead honest with it, I got bored of just it didn't. There was no reason for me to catch these Pokemon other than to say I have that Pokemon. The
Sure.
gym system was stupid. There's no real battling, right? Like going like this a million times with my
Yeah.
phone is not how I paddle Pokemon. It's dumb, and I get for Pokemon Go's sake it works because it's just a mobile game. But,
Sure.
but that's not a
I get
Pokemon
it.
game. So I don't play it a lot because I'm just not appealed to it like I am actual Pokemon games. But it would annoy me if all of a sudden this game comes out and everyone could just import their Pokemon game from Pokemon Go into this game right away and be like, oh man, look at me, I got all these awesome, great Pokemon because I played Pokemon Go. And I'm just like, you know what?
Right. No,
I don't even know, man.
And I feel like they have to be smart enough to understand that would happen.
Right.
And I think that's why they did it all the way back in Fire Red and Leaf Green. Like, they didn't want people to just be able to port their Pokemon over and just be all powerful.
Right.
So it makes sense to do it post-game at least.
Like, and I even heard it's super easy to catch shinies in Pokemon Go now. Like for you Pokemon Go players who don't know how to play or who never played the other Pokemon game, getting a shiny was what, a 1 in 8,000 some chance? Like, there were items to help it out, but it was high.
Eventually. They eventually came out with
eventually,
items to
yeah.
help it out.
Like,
Because
man.
this happened all the way in Gold and Silver, to where they first introduced shinies,
Yeah.
and there wasn't some magical item that you could just attach and it would work.
In Gold and Silver, I didn't even know shinies existed. Never saw one the whole entire time I played it.
That's a lie.
I'm sorry, that's a lie. Gyarados. Other than Gyarados, but I thought Red Gyarados was just the unique
Just
Pokemon.
a red Gyarados.
Right. I
Yeah.
thought he was just, I didn't know he was a quote-unquote shiny Pokemon, like that they were
Sure.
telling me that, oh, there's more of these out in the world. No, I thought it was just a Gyarados thing.
Yep.
So, like, I never saw anything other than Gyarados. I just thought that was Gyarados.
I never saw my first real shiny Pokemon, like legit, until playing through Leaf Green, and it was a Pidgey. Imagine my disappointment.
Oh, you like want to be excited?
I mean, granted,
but
I still caught it.
right. Oh, what if you didn't?
All right, exactly. That'd be better.
Here's an action. Go ahead.
No, you're just mentioning the way to like capture shinies because there's all these like different formulas now to where you have to like walk in grass like a specific way and it works. Like I remember I tried it and I got a Munchlax that way. Like it legit works. I don't know how,
It's all
but
remixed.
people have just figured out the
Algorithms.
formula. Yeah, but go ahead.
One really good way Pokemon Go integration could work, and I would actually really prefer this to happen, is if they did special legendary Pokemon events. And the reason I mean this is one thing that always bothered me about Pokemon games, and I love them, but it's too easy to go, oh, I'm fighting a legendary Pokemon, save right before it, and now I'm guaranteed to catch it eventually. It might take me a few tries, but load in,
Sure.
whatever.
Yep.
I would love them to implement post game, not post game, whatever you want to say it, like an event to where like you can't just save it. Like, okay, this Pokemon's going to be live this day between this hour and this hour. Go.
Yeah.
And if you don't catch it,
Like-
that doesn't mean you're screwed forever, but like you missed it.
But
that
for
day.
now you are.
Yeah. Like I would like to see that kind of integration for Legend because it's a legendary Pokemon. Everybody
Yeah.
shouldn't have that Pokemon.
Yeah, like, hey, there's been sightings of a Mew on this
Right.
specific island, but it probably won't be there long, so definitely get over there. And
Right.
Yep, I agree. I think that is a great way to do legendaries, because like you said, legendaries should feel special.
They should feel special. You should,
But-
yeah.
They should feel special, but they should also be accessible,
Correct.
if that makes sense.
Correct.
Like, no one should feel like they don't have the ability to go for them,
Right.
but they should be time sensitive. I think that's a great way to do it. Now, that's it for the actual rumors. Just to kind of build on, like, I guess how official these rumors are. There's been a lot of like official, like a lot of the producers behind the Pokemon games have tweeted a lot of very specific images of like Pikachu and Eevee together. Even like the merchandise has a lot of like Pikachu and Eevee together. Granted, Pikachu and Eevee are two of the most popular Pokemon. Could just be coincidence, but it does seem kind of odd that it's happening so much.
Now,
So that,
people could just be basing this rumor off seeing those and be like, oh, it's clearly going to be a Pikachu and Eevee game, and that might not have anything
Yeah.
to do with it, right? I mean, that's
it very well could, absolutely.
like,
It just seems, I don't know, man. I could see this happening for sure.
I could see it happening and going very, 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 very good, but I can also see it being extremely terrible. Rumors say we might see video this month, right?
Oh, great! I appreciate you saying that because that's one thing that wasn't listed on the bullet points
Right.
there. But yeah, it was either the same leak or a different one that said we are getting basically an announcement of this or more news by the end of May.
Probably a Nintendo Direct.
Right.
I would assume.
Which we're only 2 weeks away.
Right.
Now, if you remember last year, they did a direct right before E3 as well.
Correct.
Basically just to say, hey, Pokemon's not going to be at E3 this year. We just
Right.
want to come out and say it right now. Is that what they're saying this time? Like, are they just getting it out there? Like, maybe just a quick announcement like, hey, these are the games. Expect them late or expect them early 2019 or whatever it is. More information later. So that way they're like, hey, don't expect it at E3, but here's an update.
So here's what I would want. I would want if they're not gonna have Pokemon at E3 this year, that's fine. But I would want them to do a good Nintendo Direct over it at least. Like if we're gonna get an announcement, like I would want to know more about the game at the very least. Like I want some form of gameplay. It doesn't have to be extravagant, but show me the game that I've wanted for ever since I knew the Switch was a thing and this. Like,
Sure.
Show me that game I want. Show me a little bit of it. I don't want just another announcement like we got last year. It's like, hey, just so you know, Game Freak is working on this game. Like, what are they gonna do again this year? Hey, just so you know, Freak's still working on this game. Like, I would just be like, okay.
I don't know, man. I guess I mean at this point all we can do is wait and see, right? We already know that they're gonna have a big E3 with Smash Brothers.
Right.
Like we already know that that's playable on the show floor.
Right.
So me and you going. Wait, there's my camera. Going head to head.
Oh,
for sure.
You want this NES? Is that what you're saying?
You want the Samus?
This NES will bat you to New York, because that makes sense. Yeah,
Sure,
New York.
why not?
We're gonna be in New
to
York.
New York, all the way to New York, from LA.
We'll get you.
No, I'm excited to get hands on with that on the show floor.
Oh,
Hopefully, we'll get some other big announcements like Animal Crossing.
Please. That should be a thing.
No, we're just a broken record at this point. I swear, every 3 podcasts, it's always something about Animal Crossing or Pokemon.
That's the thing about Nintendo. Really, they have like 3 or 4 IPs. I don't care if they just keep doing new ones. That's great. They don't have to make new IPs. Just keep remaking and doing
Right.
the same things, just better. I'm completely content with that.
I will say, like I do like that they still try new IPs. Like Splatoon's great.
It is. It's interesting.
Is it my favorite game? No, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm glad that it has a huge following too. So I'm glad they took a risk and
Right.
and now they're coming into Smash Brothers, which
They
is
are.
really cool.
That is neat. And there's a lot, like, that's the cool thing. Like, Smash Brothers, I will say, Smash Brothers was definitely never one of my best fighters. Like, I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love the
Right.
game. there are definitely people who are better than me at that, and I completely appreciate that. And he never beat me. There's a,
Wait, I never have or I never would.
I mean, it probably will be both, right?
Have we ever played
I don't
Smash
think
together?
So. I don't remember. I know I came to your house the time the Smash Brothers 3DS version came out, but I think the whole time we just played that one game mode and didn't actually fight each other.
Okay, I want that game mode back. That game mode is fantastic. You know how much I love Kirby's Air Ride.
Yes, and it's not that great. Like, but Trevor loves
No,
it.
it's-
Trevor loves this game.
Wait, are you talking about Kirby's Air Ride
Air
or the
Ride.
mode in Smash
Air
Brothers?
Ride.
It's fantastic, Tim. You're just mad because you lost.
I did. Like, we played that game for like what, a half an hour. I still don't understand how it works properly. Like, the controls were just like, I don't get it. The concept, though, the concept is great. I do love the concept behind it. I am very happy they brought that concept to a game like Smash Brothers that I could get behind.
Yeah.
Because it really randomizes the battle completely.
You have no idea
Right.
if it's going to be a jumping contest or whatever it may be. I can't think of any examples. But you don't know what stat to build up. Right. You're just kind of going around trying to get what you can. Maybe messing up your enemy in the meantime.
Right.
It's great. I think it's a great game mode, and I would love to see that come back.
I would like them to have Pokemon mini games back in this Pokemon game, please. Thank you.
Like Pokemon Stadium?
Yeah, like, can you bring some of those mini games back, please? Thank you. Where you had Scyther versus Pinsor on the log chopping thing. Like, come on.
Mine that I was really good at was the Diglett one, where the rocks were like, and you had to harden at the. No, wait, was that Metapod?
That was Metapod. Metapod was the hardened one.
Yeah, that one was. I was good at that one. The other one, what am I thinking of? The one with the Diglets.
I don't remember Diglett one.
Oh, it was the ring toss. It was the ring toss with the Diglets. You remember?
I must not have played that one a whole lot.
Oh, yeah, it was like a ring toss. Like the Diglets would pop up and you had to throw the rings on them.
That's funny.
The Clefairy one was good.
Clefairy.
Clefairy.
Yeah, that was... My God. Dude, those mini games were boss.
They were fantastic.
They were so good. For just an added thing to be in there, it was phenomenal.
But I would love to see those come back. Mm-hmm. I do. The log cross one was, or the log cutting one was from Stadium 2, if I recall.
Was it from Stadium 2?
Almost positive.
I didn't, because it's just Pinsir and Scyther.
Yeah.
Are you sure it was just Stadium 2?
I thought so.
I mean, you could be right.
I'm willing to bet at least $2 on it.
Wow, big spender. All right, $2.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
$2. We'll find out. We'll figure that out. But but the mini games in general, I'd want back, right?
Yeah.
Smash Brothers, I can't wait for. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. We'll get a good thing going for that. I'm sure that'll be a huge thing. People, I don't need people to hate on me on that game though, too. You know.
Sure. Well, I don't want to cut you off, Tim, but we are at the hour mark, so I do want to get to our Twitch chat since we're doing this live and talk to them a little bit about this podcast. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Maybe you heard about some rumors you hadn't heard before. Maybe you know of some that we didn't discuss. If that's the case, Let us know in the comments. Send us a message. Let us know what we missed because we'd love to discuss it again. Hopefully when we actually get this real announcement in May. But this will be available. If you're listening on Twitch, it'll be available on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify now. I forget if we've discussed that, but we are on Spotify, which is kind of cool. And YouTube as always on YouTube. But we'll be back. I believe this coming Sunday, we're recording another podcast. If not, then later this week, we've got another special guest we're bringing on for you guys. We're trying to get a lot more special guests on just because it's been a lot of fun when me and Zach have done those. So definitely going to be a little more consistent with these podcasts since we've fallen off a little bit. But I've got lots of guests lined up. I've been working on my emailing. I've been busy. Tim can vouch for me.
True. It is
So we'll definitely be back with some more guests here in the next couple days before we get to E3, because during E3 we're not going to be streaming at all. But as always, appreciate you guys stopping by, and we'll see you next time.